word says, for the spirit of heaviness, put on the garment of praise. And that's how we fight our battles. This is how I fight my battles. This is how I fight my battles. This is how I fight my battles. What we're doing tonight. This is how I fight my battles.
Come on in, everybody. Welcome to Transparent Thursday, where we have the conversation. We're starting off with a different song tonight based on the conversation. And it's called Surrounded, Fight My Battles by Michael W. Smith. It might look like you're surrounded by trouble, but you're surrounded by God.
It may look like I'm surrounded, but I'm surrounded by you. This is how I fight my battles. 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 This is how I fight my battles.
Welcome to Transparent Thursday. Come on in, everybody. It's Thursday night, and it's time for us to have the conversation.
It may look like I'm surrounded, but I'm surrounded by you. It may look like I'm surrounded, but I'm surrounded by you. It may look like I'm surrounded, but I'm surrounded by you. It may look like I'm surrounded, but I'm surrounded by you. This is how I fight my battles. This is how I fight my battles.
Come on in, everybody. Welcome to Transparent Thursday.
This is how I fight my battles. 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 It may look like I'm surrounded, but I'm surrounded by you. It may look like I'm surrounded, but I'm surrounded by you. It may look like I'm surrounded, but I'm surrounded by you.
Again, that song playing in the background is Surrounded. This is how I fight my battles by Michael W. Smith.
This is how I fight my battles. 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 This is how I fight my
All right, welcome to Transparent Thursday. My name is LaTonya Smith, and I am the CEO and founder of Tonya'z Embrace, where we specialize in transforming persons from their hurting place to their healing space. Transparent Thursday. This is our 11th conversation, and tonight we're going to do something a little different. As you've noticed, the song was different tonight. We're having a special night tonight based on the conversation. And I want Transparent Thursdays not be only about conversations, but I desire that this will be a safe place for everyone. This place, Transparent Thursday, is a no judgment zone. We are on this journey together, and this is going to be the safe place. This conversation we're going to have tonight is not one I enjoy having. However, the conversation is necessary. It is something that I have dealt with more than once. And if you're on my Transparent Thursday page, you know I talked about Tamar Braxton. And I've been here at this place where you're thinking that all you can do is just die. So tonight we're going to have a special edition of Transparent Thursday and Suicide Prevention Talk. And the topic tonight is you don't want to die. You just want the pain to stop. You don't want to die. You just want the pain to stop. Now, suicide is a global psychological pandemic. That means it covers everywhere. That means even if you're in church, you're going to deal with most of us deal with suicidal thoughts. The World Health Organization estimates that approximately 1 million people die each year from suicide. According to the CDC and prevention, although some of the suicides are impulsive, most suicides are planned out. They are planned out. Now, suicide, we're going to get a definition. I'm sure everyone knows what suicide is, but just in case we want to get a definition, it's death caused by injuring oneself with the intent to die. And if you're thinking about suicide attempts, that definition is when someone harms themselves with the intent to end their life, but they do not die as a result of their actions. I've been there. So that is the definition for suicide and suicidal attempts. Suicidal thoughts are not uncommon. Nearly 8.3 million adults age 18 and older in the U.S. have had serious thoughts of suicide. Suicide is a desperate attempt to escape suffering that has become unbearable. Since you've been, most people that have been on my lives, you know, all behavior starts in the mind. So suicide is another thing that begins in the mind. This is why I am such an advocate of processing your pain, because suicidal thoughts precede the suicide. There's always a thought before the action. Again, suicide starts with a thought. Every action starts with a thought. So I don't care what the situation is. If you're thinking about committing suicide, or if you have suicide thoughts, it starts there, and then if you keep that thought, the action will come after. Many of the harmful actions we take originate from a seed Satan whispers to our souls. So that's with anything. Everything starts with the seed, starts with the thought, then the thought begets the action. So we're talking about suicide prevention. We're going to try to get to the place where even if we do have the thought, we know to have the tools not to go ahead with the action. So let's get some common misconceptions about suicide. Myth number 1, people who talk about suicide won't really do it. That is a myth. Truth is, almost everyone who attempts suicide has given some clue or warning to the people that they love. So that's the truth. So the myth is people who talk about it won't really do it. That is a myth. That is not true. So pay attention to what people are doing and what their actions. Stop saying, this is one thing that happened to me when I tried to commit suicide. Some people were saying I was just trying to do it for attention. Nobody is trying to die for no attention. So the pain, like I said, is unbearable, but that is a myth. So be careful how you size people up. That is a myth. If someone's talking about it, automatically think they're really serious about doing it. Myth number 2, if anyone who tries to kill themselves must be crazy. That is a myth. The truth is, most suicidal people are not psychotic or insane. They are just grief-stricken or depressed. So that is a myth. They are not crazy just because they have a suicidal thought. Myth number 3, if someone is determined to kill themselves, nothing is going to stop them. That is not true. That is a myth. Even when one is depressed, and I've dealt with this, my thought was the pain was too unbearable, so I had made a decision that I wanted to die. But right when I'm in the depressed zone, I fluctuate between really wanting to die. I always say, well, but really what I'm saying is I really don't want to die. I just want the pain to stop. So most of that's a myth. If somebody's thinking about it, that doesn't mean that that it's not that nothing's going to stop them. It really means that they actually in a state saying they're actually going back and forth. Like if you study most suicidal sides, if you study some of them, most of them people do change their mind, but they didn't have nobody there. They didn't have any hope, so they just want to, because they felt like they couldn't get over it. People who die, this is myth number 4. People who die by suicide are people who were unwilling to seek help. Not true. I have done more therapy than anybody, and that is not true. We seek out help. Actually, more than 50% of suicide victims sought out medical help in the last 6 months prior to their committing suicide. So most people who are on that journey of having suicidal thoughts, they actually do seek out help. So the myth is that people who die by suicide are people who were unwilling to seek help, and that's not true. They mostly do. I'm a witness, I did. Myth number 5, talking about suicide may give someone the idea to do it. That is a myth. Actually, the opposite actually happens. Talking about it openly and honestly about your suicidal thoughts can actually save lives. So we're going to shift. That was just some information about the myths. I've heard that said even in my life and other people's life, that especially mine, I just want to get attention and I'm crazy and I'm emotional. All those things were said, but those are myths. People who are in that much pain to feel like they have to end it all, it is not nothing to play with. It is very serious, and it happens. Like I said at the beginning, it's a global pandemic. That means it happens in and outside the church. Okay, we're going to go through some things because sometimes people don't know if they're just sad or if they're depressed. Okay? So there is a difference. And so we're going to talk about we just give some examples about some life events that leave a person feeling sad. And one thing is an absence of love. Absence of a loved one. So, of course, when someone dies that you love, you're going to be sad about it. Divorce is another situation where you might feel sad. Loss of a job. Loss of an income. I just lost my job on May 29th. Trust me, I was sad because I didn't have any income. So it gives you a kind of like a fear. Financial trouble. Because I don't have a job. Issues at home. Failing on an exam. You can be going to school and trying to get somewhere. If you fail your exam, then of course you're going to be sad. Not getting a job. That's just the name of it. That is sad. Sadness is a normal human emotion that every person will experience. That's normal. Sadness is normal. Sadness can usually find some relief. You can usually find some relief from crying. A lot of us don't like to cry, but crying is a relief. Venting or talking out our frustrations. Sadness would normally go away once you can do some of those things. And it's often triggered, it's often a specific event that triggers sadness. Now, when you're talking about depression, though, which is a difference between sadness and depression. Depression, however, is a mental disorder that has an overpowering effect on many parts of a person's life. Depression alters behaviors and attitudes. One thing about depression, it can occur at any age and with any gender. So no one is less prone to depression. We all are prone to depression. So stop telling these children they don't have nothing to be depressed about. They're not depressed. They're too young. They ain't been through nothing, because that is not true, because depression does not have an age. Here are some symptoms if you try to figure out what the difference would be. Depression are feelings of discouragement, prolonged sadness, hopelessness, a lack of motivation, a loss of interest in activities that you once enjoy, significant and unintentional weight loss or gain, unexplained aches and pains, that's your headaches, your back, your stomach, insomnia, low energy, feelings of worthlessness, excessive guilt, inability to concentrate, recurrent thoughts of death. Okay, so if you see the difference, one thing is triggered by an event, and it can be usually relieved by talking, crying, venting, where the other one is kind of prolonged, and you actually start altering and changing your behavior and your attitudes and the way you even think about yourself. Okay, sadness can leave a person struggling. Depression can leave a person struggling throughout their day. Okay, sadness is just a element of depression, but depression actually alters, stops. They are not being who they are. They can't sleep. They can't eat, or they're eating too much. They have body aches, and I've done all that stuff too. Lost weight just like that because of depression. What I want everyone to do and not to do is don't ignore your feelings. Your feelings are valid and they have value. You don't have to be ashamed if you are having suicidal thoughts or depression. Hopelessness is something that you really want to pay attention to, because I'd rather you be angry or show some kind of emotion. But when you're hopeless, you're at a state of despair. You have no optimism, and you have no expectation of good is coming or success. No expectation of goodness or success. And that's when you are hopeless. Now, if you are having suicidal thoughts, please know that you are not alone. If you are having suicidal thoughts, please know that you are not alone. Feeling suicidal is not a character defect, and it doesn't mean that you are crazy, weak, or flawed. Let me repeat that. Feeling suicidal is not a character defect, and it doesn't mean that you are crazy, weak, or flawed. Again, you are not alone. It only means, when you're having suicidal thoughts, it only means that you have more pain than you can cope with at the present moment. You're not crazy, you're not flawed, you're not defective. You just have more pain at that particular moment that you can cope with. But with time and support, you can overcome the pain and the suicidal feelings, and they will pass once you get some time and some support. No matter what you're facing, there are people who need you. So do not tell yourself that nobody will miss you, because that's not true, or people that will be better off because you're gone. That's not true. Those are some of the things that I said to myself. And please know, wherever you go, you do make a difference. It takes so much courage to go to the face of death, actually see death, and then step back from the brink. That takes so much courage, and you can do it. Or if you know someone who's suffering at this time with it, it can be done. This is something that you really need to remember. Your emotions are not fixed. They are constantly changing. So I promise you that even in that moment you might be feeling despair, that give yourself some time and your feelings will change about it. You will not feel the same way about that thing next week, tomorrow, or 2 weeks from now. It's because your feelings are constantly changing and evolving. You have the ability. This is something the devil will tell you, that everything's bad, nothing's good. But you have the ability to experience pleasurable emotions, and they are more powerful than your emotions that are bad. You may feel, I've been here, you may feel that there are no other options, but there are other solutions that exist. Your pain is distorting your thinking. Have you ever been there where your pain actually start distorting your thinking just because you're in so much pain? So that's when your suicidal thoughts come. Truth is, when you're in a suicidal crisis, it's always temporary. Always temporary. Suicidal crises are always temporary. Suicide, however, is a permanent solution to a temporary problem. That's why when you're having those thoughts, there are some things you need to do in that moment. I'm trying not to get emotional because as I'm talking about, I'm thinking about me and some people that I know that's actually being right here. So please bear with me tonight. This is a very, very hard conversation for me to have. But like I said, it's very necessary to have. So suicide, when I thought about it, doing it and everything, you just, like I said, that's why I titled this, you don't want to die, you just want the pain to stop, because the sun will shine again. It will say, do the storms ever stop? No, but neither does rainbows. So you just get through the storm. I promise you, in time, things will change. Here's some practical steps when you are in a crisis. If you or anybody else, in that moment, promise not to do anything at that moment. Give yourself some distance between your thoughts and your action. That's a practical thing to do. Even in the moment of crisis, you have to promise yourself, even in that moment while you can't see anything, it's all dark, there's no future, no expectation, just say, okay, I'm going to give myself some time. We do that with anger. When we angry and we want to say something to somebody, we do this, count to 10, or we do something. So it's the same thing with suicide. Give yourself some distance between your thoughts and your action, because if you act right now, it's a temporary feeling, and you're going to make a permanent decision when on a temporary feeling, and we don't want you to do that. Step number 2, avoid drugs and alcohol. I don't know if you ever experienced alcohol, because y'all know I have, and drugs. It actually makes your thoughts stronger. You get bolder. It alters everything that you're really supposed to be thinking. It's not real. It changes everything. So in that moment of crisis, avoid drugs and alcohol. Step number 3, in a crisis, make your home safe. What that means is remove all the things that you can use to hurt yourself. Knives, guns, pills. And what I had to do sometimes is I couldn't depend on myself. I had to remove myself and go somewhere that was safe. So if you can't make yourself not take the pill or not use the pill or get your knife, I've done that too, or guns or whatever, get yourself to a place where you can go somewhere safe. Step number 4, don't keep your suicidal feelings to yourself. Y'all know I am an advocate of that. Whatever you're feeling is valid and it has value. But if you, even in suicide, don't ever say to yourself, oh no, I'll be okay, nobody's going to understand, they're going to think I'm crazy. Whatever you tell yourself, talk yourself out of it and tell somebody. This is my belief, and this is something personal. I believe that there should be somebody in your life that you can go to at any moment. That's in the good things, the bad things, the ugly things. There has to be somebody in your life that you can go to in a crisis, that you feel safe, not judged, not condemned, but safe, because that could be the difference between you living and dying. So when you're in that place, do not feel like I can't reach out, or it's not good for reach out, or in the moment will pass. No, I don't care who you are, what you do. If you're in a suicidal crisis and you're having suicidal feelings, please do not keep that to yourself and reach out for help. So those are 4 basic steps to do it. Here's some warning signs, because people always say, well, if it's not me, what can I look for when it's somebody else? Warning signs, talking about suicide, seeking out lethal means, preoccupied with death, no hope for the future, self-loathing or self-hatred, saying goodbye. What I mean by saying goodbye, if I just show up at your house and I don't never come, and I'm just going, hey, I just want to say, come and see you, then I say goodbye, and that's unexpected, that's not like my character. I'm never going to show up at anybody's house unannounced, number one. But if you can tell by how I'm acting, something is off. When I was trying to commit suicide, most every single time, I called my family and I told them I loved them. I had pictures around my legs and around my whole body. And I was, trying to get myself to love them enough to stay here. But I said, well, I do want to say goodbye. So if somebody's talking that way, please take that as a warning sign. Withdraw you from others. If I just think everybody know I'm an extrovert by hardcore, if I'm just not showing up and I'm just withdrawing myself, and you know somebody like that that's normally in the mix of things, that is a warning sign. Self-destructive behavior, another warning sign. And then a person that's been in crisis, or they're talking about stuff, and then all of a sudden they have a sudden sense of calm, that's a warning sign. You want things to get better for somebody, but they just kind of calm and nothing really bothers them. That's pretty much, they've already made up in their mind what they're going to do. So those are some of the warning signs. Here's just some simple tips. Speak up if you're worried about somebody. I tell people all the time, I'd rather you be mad at me alive than I'm mad at myself and I didn't help. And you're gone and I can't do nothing about it. So speak up if you worry about somebody. Respond quickly. Respond quickly. Do not give it a thought. Do not say, well, maybe I misunderstood what they said. Respond quickly. Offer your help and support. And when somebody comes to you and they're talking about their thoughts, please do not argue with them. That is not the time to give out a whole bunch of scriptures. That's not time to tell them they crazy. That's not time for them telling them they must don't trust Jesus. That's not the time to argue with that person. You need to get them to a state of calm before going for it. All you need to do there is be a listening ear and just make sure they do not do anything. For me, my hardest thing about death, because you really do feel like, and y'all know I talk about trauma all the time, so y'all know I unprocessed pain, trauma, all this stuff leads to suicidal thoughts. And I just want y'all to know that if you are, this is a safe place. You can reach out to me or your friends. I even got a number to reach out to, but you are not alone. And I think that's the biggest thing the devil wants you to know. Like if you're in a suicidal place, that nobody loves you. You're alone. No one cares. And that is not true. And don't be afraid because you love Jesus and you're a church person or you're a Christian and you're struggling with suicidal thoughts. Do not let your image of who you are, your connections with church, allow you not to reach out for help. Because let me tell y'all who's the biggest, what's the growing rate right now? The biggest rate of people that's trying to commit suicide right now is pastors, leadership. So they right with us. They are, most of them are depressed. They don't have friends. I was reading some stuff yesterday, and I mean, you think somebody like that's up, being very popular preacher, very good in his gift, that they will have friends. A lot of them actually don't. So during this time, especially COVID, and I do want to say that nothing we're dealing with is not in the Bible. Elijah is in the Bible. He struggled with mental illness. So that's why people like me and other people, like when we want to talk about mental illness, is because everything we're dealing with is in the Bible. Elijah actually dealt with his mental illness there and his depression and anxiety. So these are things we can actually go to the Bible and see that we're not alone. This is not a new struggle. And I think churches need to be have mental wellness, mental health awareness, all this stuff, because we need that in church. And it's not, like I said, it's not like something you should be ashamed about or feel guilty about. It happens to the best of us. And so I wanted to just share that with you. Do not feel alone. You're not crazy. You're not by yourself. My particular struggle with wanting to end it all always ended up because I just didn't feel loved. And I thought about my life, especially getting prepared to talk about this. I've always had people around me, but I was always feeling alone. And I was always in the front. I was doing everything, but I could not shake that feeling of not being loved. I was good at a lot of stuff. I knew that, but I wasn't good with how I felt about me. And of course, if you've been, this is our 11th conversation, so you know a lot of that has to do with my molestation, domestic violence, rape, all that stuff, losing my virginity to a preacher. A lot of this, some of those things happened, but when I got to the place where, and there were several different moments in my life that I was like, it will not matter if I don't show up. It will not matter. Nobody cares. Nobody loves me. I can't keep this relationships going. And when you get to that place, you feel like there is no hope, no matter what. Like, God, do you really exist? And so for me to be in a church rail and feeling that all the time, it was crazy. But when I tell you, whew, I'm struggling, y'all. But anyway,
you're doing good.
I just want to basically use my life as an example, letting you know that no matter who you are, you know, if you know me, you know I got a big heart. You know, I smile all the time. I love to laugh. I'm just one of these joyous people, and I hope that every time you be around me that you leave better and you leave happier. And to be a person all the time, even though that's what I'm doing for everybody else and I couldn't give it to myself, then you get to a place where you don't feel loved by anybody, and you just pouring out and pouring out and pouring out and pouring out, but nobody's pouring in. You just feel, and you're in church, I mean, you're doing the right things, but it just, nothing is filling you up. And so when you get to a place where even rejection or betrayal, then you got that stuff coming to happen, and then you're like, well, I'm trying to do right, and I'm trying to do the right things, and you get to a place where I just don't want to be here. And even with the story of me not being able to have kids, like the way it was done, I felt like, God, you have forsaken me. Like, I know Jesus on the cross and say, "Why?" I felt that, like, you have forsaken me. How you gonna allow this man to take life from me? And the pain of not going to get no help when it happened, unprocessed pain, led me to some very, very, very dark places. So one thing that I have promised myself that once I get over her, once I recognize what it is, talk about what it is, go there, that I would deliver myself from people. I have found that I said I love Jesus, but actually what I was doing, I was loving people. And I had to deliver myself from them because God is God. No person can be God. And I don't want you to allow your identity or your validation to be defined by any particular people or person, because whatever defines you will confine you. And I found myself a lot of times, I couldn't love myself because people were not loving me. So I just want you to be very careful, but it's a thin line. It was a thin line for me to pour all my love and all my hope into people, and nobody was giving it back, and it literally left me drained and left me exhausted, and I could not think and I could not rationalize what was the right thing to do. So I want you to try to, you can love God and you can love people. Make sure that you put yourself in that line, like love you too, because it got me on my back to a place where I just didn't feel any hope. So I want you to deliver yourself. If that's your issue, if you just feel validation of, your gift is not your validation. God validates you. He's always approved you. He's already done it. So do not feel like you have to be approved by people. If you're in any relationship, and I'm sure we all are because nobody's an island around here, in a relationship, check in with the people that you love. Especially now. We are home. There's COVID out there. We're not getting as much social relations that we normally get. And if you don't check in with people, you do not know where they are. So if you love people, show them. Hey, I'm thinking about you. Do you need anything? Because, like I said, me as an extrovert, it is killing me that I can't hug people. It's killing me that I can't go over everybody's house and hang out, because that's what I love to do. I fill up on, with people. I love the energy. So please check on your friends. And this is another good point, or something I just want everybody to pay attention to. Just because somebody is smiling doesn't mean they're happy. Do not look at me and say, oh, Tonya looks good, or Tonya, oh, she's doing this, and she looks like she, because you don't really know if I'm happy or not. That is not an indicator that I'm happy. And so that's why I say in relationships, you have to have intimate relationships. And what I mean by that, intimacy is not only given in romantic relationships. Intimacy has to be in your friendships. Intimacy has to be in your family. I have friends. Nikki couldn't be here tonight, so I got my friend Renetta here tonight. You best believe she is intimate with me enough that if I'm smiling, chicken and grinning and acting crazy, but she can look in my eye and say, it's Tonya'z off. That's the kind of intimacy you want, because no matter how people try to hide and cover, somebody in your circle need to be able to say, you off. That's why we can't be so, I don't want no friends, I don't want nobody in my life, I don't want no business, because they could actually be the one to save you. People, and so be careful about not wanting to be close to people. I know you have to trust people. I know. But there's somebody in your life, because you have found, they said to find friends, you have to be friendly, right? So you've been a friend to somebody. So I'm sure somebody find you as a friend. There's some way that you can actually be close enough with them. And it doesn't mean they don't love Jesus. That doesn't mean that they don't trust God. They just having a bad moment. And somebody should pick up on that. There are times, like I said, when I'm sneaking and grinning, loudest one, because y'all know I'm loud and everything. And Renetta can walk up on me and tap me and say, come here, I need to talk to you, because something's not right. I'm off. I don't care what I'm pretending to be, I'm off. And that's the kind of relationships you want to have in your life. So please, please check on your strong friends, because a lot of times we really aren't doing as good as you think we are. And I'm just going to put myself out there. We're really not. And there are times when we are not having good days, because we all dealing with this thing called life. Suicide rates, get off of me real quick so I can kind of get a breath, have increased, especially y'all know now because of COVID-19. There's no way to say that but to say it. Suicide rates have increased for churchgoers and pastors since COVID. And a lot of things they attribute that to is economic stress, social isolation, loss of community and religious contact. There, when they say do not forsake the assembly, there is not just because your body's at church. There's stuff that really happens when spirit is worshiping with spirit, and it gives you some joy and it gives you some peace. And so when people don't have that, that is a loss of their community. Mental health treatments are not a priority right now. So if you were going and needed help, you got bipolar or depression and stuff, somebody got COVID is taking up the priority right now. So they can't see you right now. So a lot of the suicides are happening because they really can't get the help that's needed. And same thing with people that have pre-existing conditions. COVID is #1 right now, so they kind of been, oh, we'll see you later, and people are dying with other things, but they just do not see the part. So a lot of that stuff, people just feel they're too much pain. And social influence, what they mean by that is, if you keep watching news 24/7 with this COVID-19, it's going to get into your spirit. You're going to get depressed because it seems like nothing is working. When we thought we was finna get out of phase 1, we got to phase 2. Now, oh Lord, now what to doing with the children? Oh, you want me to take my child to school and I don't know what's going to happen? I mean, all of that. So that people are dying, feeling like there is no hope because of COVID-19. Bankruptcy. A lot of people have lost their jobs. I'm not the only one who lost my job. There's some financial stuff. People just can't cope. And so I just want to encourage you, if you've been there, please, 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 I'm begging you to reach out for help. This moment is going to pass. It's just temporary. You have so much purpose. If it wasn't true, God wouldn't create you. You matter. I know they say all lives matter, black lives matter. Right now I'm saying you matter. So whatever you're feeling, whatever the pain is, just reach out and get some help, and I promise you that moment will pass away. Of course, there's treatment for depression. You got medications, counseling, and psychotherapy. So those are some things, and that's why it's important for me, not someone who just been there, but I want you to know there are places like Tonya'z Embrace that will help you walk through your pain, give you the tools you need, because it's just a moment. And one of my favorite scriptures in the Bible, of course, is Psalms 23, and it talks about walking in the shadow of death. And a lot of times we don't recognize that it's just a shadow. Shadows always look bigger. They always look bigger than what the actual thing is. So it's just a shadow. And sometimes even if I'm, down now because I don't have a job, if I'm down, I always say, Tony, it's just a shadow. You've been here before. God's got you. He's with you. He's a shepherd. He's a good shepherd. So I don't want anybody to feel like there is no hope. Like I said, I'd rather you be angry, mad, pissed off, whatever word you want to put on, but please do not be hopeless, because that's when you have to come back from the state of despair. I'm going to do something that I normally don't do on Transparent Thursday, and that is I'm going to share a song with you that my last time of being on the bed, and I was in this very place that I'm in now, and it wasn't too long ago, about 5 years ago, and I got to a place where after the second divorce, and then I'm in bankruptcy, I can't find a job, this had nothing. And when I say nothing, I mean nothing. I didn't even have toilet tissue. And I remember getting to this place where, God, I just can't live anymore. Like I said, this is just a few years ago. And now, contrast that with the person that's always doing empowerment speeches. Contrast that with the person, I already had stuff on the books for that year that I had to go speak at, and I felt like I'm just not going to make it, God. And how embarrassing it felt, like you were in your 40s and you don't even have toilet tissue, you don't have food. And I remember just saying, this is it. And I actually called my family and my friends and my brother in Miami early in the morning. 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. So my family know by now, once they get that call, I'm in a state of crisis at that time. And so I remember having their pictures, and I was trying to think about my nephews. If you know me, you know I love my niece and nephews. And I was just trying to give them like a reason just to try, like to just try. And I have some friends that are great singers. And I just thank God in that moment that when I talked about giving yourself some distance between the thought and the action, I did that. And I said, what normally soothes my soul, regardless of what I'm feeling, I could be going through a panic attack or whatever, music. It's been like the light of my soul. It's just been my hope. So if you bear with me, I want you to listen to this song, listen to the words of this song, and I will come back after it's over. Hold on, y'all. I think we had to speak. Ooh, yeah. Jesus is more than wonderful. Whoa, and he's more than beautiful. Yeah. That's why we're more than conquerors. More than conquerors. Jesus Christ, our Lord. Jesus more than a miracle. And he's more. That's why we're more than conquerors. Jesus, our Lord, yeah. Everybody wants
needs a hero. Everybody needs a friend. Shoulder to lean on. Everybody needs a helping hand. Well, you ought to try Jesus. Said he's just a prayer away. See, he can make your burdens light, turn your midnight into day. He's so much more than a healer. When you're feeling kind of down, said he's more than able. I know he can turn your life around. Yeah. That's why we're more. Jesus Christ, only Jesus. Don't you know we made it right? Now I can do all things. Jesus Christ, whatever you may go through in life, you can make it if you try. Just remember, the power's not in you, but it's all in Jesus Christ. Fight your every battle, Lord. He can win the fight. Just call him when you need a friend. Be alone and know the night. Oh, there ain't no secret what my God can do. Cause what he's done for others, I know he
That is the song that I played over 100 times, giving myself distance between my thoughts and my action. So I pray that it encouraged you. I hope this whole talk encouraged you to just know that you're not alone. And if you do need help, that you will reach out. I did have 2 questions. And I think this question is about, I guess, someone attempting to commit suicide. So it says, what about the ones who fake it? Even if someone is faking it, that is a cry out. So I take that just as serious as if someone actually, like myself, who's actually attempted to, you know, I've been to the hospital, got my stomach pumped, been in the crazy house. To me, if someone is even faking it, that's also a warning sign that that person needs help. So I don't downplay that. I know everybody think about the Boy That Cried Wolf story all the time. And some people, you know, if they need attention, give it to them. I don't. If it's keeping somebody alive, you know, until they can get some help and be able to stand on themselves, it's not going to kill us. Even if we think in the back of our mind, this person is just tripping, they just need crazy, or whatever you're thinking about it, you're not God, so you're not really don't know what's going on inside them. But if you're a Christian and you love people, just love them until we can able to figure out and get them some help on that. This next question is, what if you genuinely don't have anyone to confide in? I know it may be hard to believe, but some people don't have anyone. Nope, it's not hard for me to believe that. It's not hard for me. I know I am a blessed soul because I have great friends in my life. But I believe that for me, for a while, before I even got to Greensboro, I had to be my own best friend. And that means I went to therapy, got myself together, make sure that I pour in that same love that I was giving everybody else, that I poured in the time. So if you literally do not have a human being, person, then you have yourself and you have God. And I do believe once you give yourself out and be friendly, I think you attract what you're giving out. And so over time, someone can, but I always question when people say, I don't have anybody. And like I said, your family don't have to be your friends. I mean, you might, I just believe God, what you put out, the energy, the vibe, the love, everything you put out, God cannot lie. So whatever you're sowing, he's going to bring it to you, and it's going to be manifested, and it's going to be more. And so if you're putting out friendliness, if you're putting out friendship, if you're putting out being a good person, that's why it's hard. You know, I believe that happens, but I think you have to question yourself. I've done that before when I was sabotage relationships, and why was I doing that? Why I couldn't let nobody get close? I had to look at myself and say, yeah, why am I alone? And it's because I don't push everybody away. So it depends on the situation. But I feel like if you start with yourself, be your best friend, beside God, that he will always provide, because he can't not lie. He's going to always give you what you putting out, even if it's bad. You know, most time we think about reaping and sowing, we think about it in the bad place, but it's also in a good place too. So if you sow love, you're going to get it. You sow friendship, you're going to get it. So I think that's where I would start. And I always question myself in all relationships. I don't care what is my part to play? Why is this not working? So I'd start with me first. Also, start with yourself and figure out why you have a person that's in the world that don't have anybody. Could be normally time is because, and I'm not like, I don't get to see who's giving me the questions or anything, because I can't see that stuff right now. But so I'm not gonna attack no you. I'm just saying this question, who you are, try to figure out what relationships that you do. Why don't you have relationships? Do you really value relationships? Do you want people? Have you sabotaged? So I always start with me, because I tell you, if I have a toxic relationship with myself, I always told y'all, if you've been on this live, I had to start with me until I start getting a loving relationship and stop having a toxic relationship with Tonya. Then as soon as that happened, literally people just start drawing and attracting themselves to me. So since then, I have not been alone. So I would try that. Some of the comments I was given was, depression is a great sense of despair, and that was by my apostle Gloria Samuels, and that is so true. A great sense of despair. Another comment I have, smiles don't hide the things because other people can see it in your eye. And that's basically what I was saying about myself. I'm doing pretty good now. Renelle, you agree? Give me a yes. Okay, I'm doing good. But this is some of the things that I want to talk about, because just because people at church love Jesus and they're big gifted and they doing good, and that doesn't mean they're not depressed, and that doesn't mean like they're not sad, and they might not have suicidal thoughts. And during this time, we don't even get to reach out to each other. We see each other on a Zoom or something like this, but we don't have touch. And touch is a big thing of healing for me. And so you just be there for people. Be there for yourself. If you need help, if your like I said, it's not an age. If your child is being withdrawn or changing, check in. Check in. That's another question.
We want to know what's the name of the song and who sings it.
Okay. The name of that song is, the song I just played was Jesus is More. And that's by my friends in Alabama called Committed. And the leaders on that song was Tiffany and Jerome Malone, great friends of mine in Alabama. I can actually, on Transparent Thursday, I will put the information in there so you can have it. Somebody also gave the number I was going to give you guys tonight. There is a number, a National Suicide Prevention number, and it's 1-800-273-8255, and that's the very number I had here as well. So if you don't have anybody, please call their number. I am here. Y'all hear me say it all the time. I am here to help you do your work. I had to do my work. I share my life so you guys can know it is possible. You can overcome. I was imagining today as I was getting everything finalized, what if I would have died? What if I would have checked myself out too early? And I think about all the blessings that God have. I wasn't married then. Got somebody that loved me. That's what I was crying for most of the time. And can't find nobody that love me. Got somebody that love me. So that check. I'm healthy. I have a great sense of awareness of myself. I know that my ministry is by God. So I know, and I said, what if I just would have put a period where God put a comma? And so I am thankful by his grace that no matter what, he didn't let me die. So if you need me, again, I am here. I am the CEO and founder of Tonya'z Embrace. I wish I can give y'all this digital pamphlet. But anyway, Tonya'z Embrace. And like I said, I specialize in transforming lives from their hurting place to their healing space. We give you the strategies and tools you need to transform your life so you will not be overwhelmed. Now, even though I did not die, and even though I don't have suicidal thoughts, and I'm not depressed, that doesn't mean I don't get sad sometimes. So when I do get sad, before I even let it escalate to a depression, I make sure I take care of myself and do the tools that I would give my clients. Because life is life. I miss people. I love people. We don't have people die. We couldn't go to their funerals because of COVID. We couldn't even say a proper bye. So a lot of that stuff, I lost my job. Everything is life. But even though storms come, rainbows do too. And so you just got to keep living, keep pressing. All of this is not for nothing. And it was necessary for me. It's necessary. This whole ministry, I always say, it was necessary for me to be there so I can be there for others. Okay, I think that was, next week, you guys, I have something very, 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 very special for you. Next week, y'all know we done talked, this was our 11th conversation. We always talking about abuse and the stuff that happens in the church and why doesn't the church respond to certain things. I actually have a pastor who's coming on to be my special guest next week and going to be able to ask the questions of how should pastors handle abuse in the church. That's sexual, domestic violence, just abuse across the board. What is their charge as pastors? I am so excited about that show coming next week, and that'll be with Apostle Gloria Samuels. Everybody know that's my girl, that's my mentor. And so she's going to take the charge next week. Of course, we'll be doing it together, but she'll be my special guest. And I'm not a pastor, never been in that role, so I'm going to let somebody that's actually in that role talk about some of the questions that everybody's sending me. So if you do have questions and you're on Transparent Thursday, if you want to send a question to me, I will be sending some questions to her based on the ones that I collect. And that's what we'll be talking about next week, which will be July the 30th, same time, same channel. I hope this was informative information. It was not a happy subject, but it was a necessary subject. And with the thing that happened to Tamar, y'all know how I was tore up about it because I'm always able to see the pain behind people's behavior. And I don't want any of you, anybody in my circle, anybody that I can reach to get to a place of despair. And so if I can use my life to let you know that it's possible to get overcome, this is what I'm doing. Of course, I'm asking my wonderful husband to come and pray us out. Please pray for me financially, physically. I had an appointment today. Just pray that y'all pray that I take care of myself. My body, I'll be 51 next week, right? Oh, Lord, it's coming up. And just pray, I'm not young, so I need to start being obedient to the doctors and do what's necessary. So pray for my financial health. Pray for those who have lost bereaved families. Like I said, we can't be there, but just pray for those families as they go through. Pray for our nation, of course. And pray for our children. I don't have children, but I'm scared about them going to school and all the stuff they have to do, and the teachers. And also pray for the frontliners. My best friend is a frontliner that's at the hospital, and she said it's really getting bad because a lot of their suicide ward is increased greatly in number, and they have to sit with these people, and they actually put themselves in harm's way, not only with the COVID, but actually the suicide. So this is just so much happening. That's why she's not here tonight. She actually had to go do that. So just pray for her safety and pray for the other essential workers that's right on the front line at the hospitals that's dealing with the COVID and also the suicidal backlash of people being suicidal. So just pray for her safety and others. Thank you. Y'all have a great night. Here's my husband going to pray us out.
Thank everybody for joining in on tonight for this great conversation, a very much needed conversation on suicide prevention. We thank my wife for doing a wonderful job like always. We thank God for this ministry each and every Thursday. Thank you for those who are far and near. Thank you for tuning in each and every Thursday. Let us go to God in prayer. Most holy and everlasting Father, if there ever was a time we need you right now.
Yes, God.
God, you are our way maker. You are what we need even in times like these. God, continue to strengthen where we're weak. Build us up where we're torn down. There's somebody tonight on the line tonight who's going through pain, going through turmoil, going through despair, going through depression. But God, you can lift up their hearts.
Yes,
God, you can turn things around and make things better in their lives even right now. God, we thank you for being a bridge over troubled water. God, so we ask you right now that God, give them peace, give them hope, give them joy, give them understanding. God, we know that you can do anything but fail. And with God, all things are possible if we only believe. God, you are our strength. You are our source of help when we don't have no help at all. You can step in and turn things around. God, we ask you right now to just have your way right now. Those who are people are burdened down, God, lift up their hearts. Lift up their spirits even right now. They may feel down, but God, you can turn it around. God, continue to bless right now. Continue to touch home those without jobs. Give them a job, God. You are our source who we depend on every day. God, those who are without home, don't have nowhere to lay their heads. God, touch them right now. God, make a way out of no way, even right now. God, we thank you for this Transparent Thursday. Continue to bless this ministry, God. Bless my wife in a special way, God. Thank you for her boldness in declaring your word, how good you are. God, you have delivered her. You have touched her in many ways. Continue to bless right now. Continue to strengthen her where she's weak and build her up where she's torn down. God, bless this ministry, and we be careful to give your name the praise, the glory, and the honor. We do pray in Jesus' mighty name. And everybody say amen.
Amen. Y'all have a good night.
Be blessed.
Be blessed.